Okay, folks, this is Bob in the house with news that was never reported. The first one is Sarah Jacobs of NDTV resigned. Interesting because she was asked to do this pomp and splendor art piece on Modi. She asked whether she could put Didi or Didi in and all the other stuff, and she was declined. She resigned. NDTV was the last man holding out. I was also given in, courtesy Adani. They've also amped up this process of amping up Modi. So here's the Australia thing, right? Look, I am a strategic and a geostrategic analyst. Essentially, G7 went very well for India. The G20 in Kashmir also is a good step. The Quad on the sides, because Biden had to leave, also went well. What's coming out is very, very substantive for India if it plays its cards right, which it seems to be, balanced or not. His trip to Australia, needless to say, is coming out to be is only about him. That whatever his image was shattered in Karnataka and appealing all that, and it's only working with the NRIs in Australia and Canada and the Western world because they're oblivious to what's happening in India. In fact, they're probably blaming the Karnataka population for not understanding and following good old Modi because Modi is God. I mean, this is kind of. I mean, the way Albanese seems to have given it, and the way the administration of Australia seems to have catapulted to Modi is amazing. But I guess they did it for the Chinese and Xi too. Like, so it's not one of those things that you can write home about. And there's this guy who was talking, the India has arrived because this little place, Harris, whatever street, has been turned into Little India. And even Modi mentioned it. But let me just tell you. Go back to any major city in the world, London, Chicago, New York, you find little Indias there, and you also find Chinatowns everywhere. Everywhere. That means little Indias had arrived way, way back when. Not today, not 2014, Kangana Rao, but way back when. So this is funny. Food, music, AI, Modi meets Aussies from all across the These are all Modi bucks, not nobody else. I'm told that all these figures that are being given out there are just that stadium has a maximum capacity of 25 and only 14 were there and a lot of people were shipped in, right? We'll conclude talks on key trade pact. Now that's important. So Australia is extremely important for India. This is, like I said, Modi Airways and Modi Express fly in fans for diaspora meet in Sydney. Now my question to all of you is, pray who's paying for it? Not the Australian government, not the people. I'm told from people in Australia that they were going there for free. So guess what? Boys and girls, taxpayers, you and me, right? Well, that he's trying to build his image, not India's image. India's image is already up there, folks. Don't kind of equate the two. That India's image is Modi's image and Modi's image is India's image. India's image is out there, has been there for a long time, ever since Pichai, Nadella, all these big guys, Ro Khanna and all were in the United States and everywhere else, right? But in India, yesterday was a huge candle march. So we are internally getting smacked all over the place. Like many girls, I had to suffer silently all these years because of this man, Brij Bhushan Singh. And this is what Vinesh Phogat, right? And there was this huge candle march and this is getting to blow out of proportion, right? And then nobody mentions this. Ambala to Chandigarh, Rahul listens to truckers issue. So he actually climbed onto a truck and traveled, not for a minute or two, but for 50 kilometers, right? Then the other thing that has been played out everywhere, you're beginning to hear, and my friends are calling me in desperation, poor DK, he's going to leave for sure. So this is being amped up by the media and how to try and, they can't swallow the defeat that they have. But let me tell you, Kharge, Siva and Siddha all have it under control because while it says DK camp, mom as minister says Siddha will stay CM for 5 years, right? The body language of the two is stellar. Center clears Karnataka proposal to serve eggs in midday meals. They should do it for everybody else. But do remember, when you look at all this is what is there to remember, and he is going to be there on control. Another winner in Karnataka battle, Kharge, calm, confident in command, like I told you that. that this is the main ploy. Only 8 mantris take oath in Karnataka as Siddha DKS tussle. There is no Siddha DKS tussle. Apparently, the formula is they've both been given 15, 15, 20, 20 that they have independence to choose their ministers. But but what they missed was the first 8 ministers had a minority, had an SC, had an ST, had a Dalit. They missed that part, was underreported or not reported at all. And what the BJP should be doing, and that's what they're trying to build up in another place, face Karnataka music. As Gil's well-knows, right? Things go south for BJP. He says, is this election a rebuke to Hindutva or hate politics? In part, yes. Years of vilification campaigns against Muslims did not pay off electorally. In fact, BJP lost significant ground in coastal Karnataka, one of state's most polarized sub-regions. The main difference between Congress in Karnataka and almost everywhere else is organizational strength. But for now, the Congress victory shows how state elections remain competitive and how dominance can be challenged with ideas, which is good for democracy. And Nikhil, right, Congress that thinks local is what God is there, right? But while we are, as I say, Modi ka danka sab world mein baj raha, yaar apna desh to dekh lo pehla. ਉਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਤੇ ਨਾਰਥ ਈਸਟ ਸੀਗਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਉਹ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਚਨਕਿਆ ਨੰਬਰ 2 ਸਰਨਾ fresh violence in Manipur, ex-MLA among arrested, fresh clashes hit Manipur, CM meets Shah in Delhi, army out in Manipur as fresh violence arson erupts in parts, houses set afire as fresh clashes erupt in Manipur, 3 arrested. Meithi's cookies keep moving to safer areas as tensions persist. A day after arson, more troops sent to Manipur. Okay, then the other controversy that's happening is who should actually be inaugurating the new parliament. Look, the 3 parts of the parliament are Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the president. President is part of our constitutional threesome. Technically, she should be inaugurating the parliament, not the prime minister. Prime minister is only a figure of the Lok Sabha, right? So when Hardeep Puri writes, Indira Rajiv 2 inaugurated buildings on parliament premises BJP, Hardeep Puri is a nutty. Sadaj ne अपनी पगड़ी टेकती हैगी इना दे कुट नहीं. He can't win an election for good anywhere in the world, anywhere in India, in Punjab, in Delhi, nowhere he can win. With Modi's backing, without Modi's backing, right? Question is, yes, they did. They cut ribbons on IITs and maybe Nehru cut the Bhakra Nangal Dam. But if this is the parliament, it's a difference. It's not another building, folks. It is not another building. No, just let's not fall into it. Like he writes, Congress questions constitutional propriety of PM inaugurating new parliament, says president should do it. And I think he's right. And this is where it says Congress gets support for its call to boycott event on new parliament. JDU, AAP, TMC, CPI to skip. And the others are still floozed out. They don't know yet, right? But Andhra Pradesh, you don't hear anything about it. Right, because the center has him in control, and you can see that center sanctions record 10,460 crore bifurcation dues to Andhra Pradesh after holding on for so many years. Right, in BSP cracks are developing because Kharge is coming out to be your next big face of the Dalit. Right, taking independent line, BSP MP's talk of opposition unity. Good old Behenji has lost the plot. But this guy, on the other hand, I can't figure out. As Kejriwal gathers opposition support, Congress's Markan speaks in favor of central ordinance. Well, he talks about Babaji, Ram Ambedkar, and now the question that I have, and I don't know, Sheila Dikshit, did she have control and ability to transfer all these bureaucrats? I want to know that. Center's ordinance Rao, Congress leaders oppose support to AAP, Nitish backs Kejriwal, lead unity to stop tweaks in constitution to center's advantage, Congress to take call on backing AAP after talking to ally state units, Congress tells Nitish decision on ordinance after in-house talks. I think the Congress will be cutting its own feet if it does not support the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. You can't be so small-hearted. Then distress is there to see. By Jean DeRees, evidence of near stagnation of real wages in the informal sector is strong and growing. Labor Bureau data clearly points to near stagnation on informal sector real wages in recent years. A comparison. So basically, this is what lost them the election in Congress, no matter what they say other than that. And good old Surjit S. Bhalla, who became an acolyte or fan of Modi, but now he's also got some issues. Undo the unliberalized remittance policy. GOI's 20% tax on foreign spend, even with its latest tweak, is regressive given India's growing aspirations, and it will neither save forex nor increase revenue. And let's talk about the Adani. The real issue, like I said, with Adani is what is in those shell companies. Those shell companies, money was never supposed to come from. And as Amit Dubey writes, no clean chit, only a JPC can unearth the full truth on the Adani matter. Has the report of the Supreme Court's expert committee given a clean chit to the Adani group? That's what sections of the media have been asserting with a note of desperation. Note of desperation. Because even a cursory reading of the report makes it clear that it has done nothing of the sort. And then, it is also important to remember that the Congress party's 100 Hum Adani ke hain kaun questions were much broader than the remit of the expert committee and remain entirely valid. The circumstances in which Adani Group has a monopoly in critical sector, how assets in power, ports and energy in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka were handed over to Adani in the name of diplomacy, who decided that LIC and SBI would lend to or invest substantial sums in Adani Group, only a JPC can unearth that. There, folks, the mountain of troubles is growing for good old Modi. He's trying to do the repair job in Australia, and eventually the next stop is going to be the United States. But be clear-headed. As far as Indian policy election goes, it's all about what is happening in India. And nobody's God. Just remember, there is no God. There's only, for me, there is Guru Gobind, the 10 gurus of the Sikhs, the Guru Granth Sahib, Shivji, Vishnu, Hanumanji, Sri Ram. Those are the guys. Not the good old Prime Minister, folks. Not the good old Prime. Don't confuse the issue. Three cheers and Jai Hind.